together. And he was a bad mofo from Bedford-Stuyvesant, New York, Puerto Rican dude. And we were very, very close. And we both got kicked out of Vietnam together, which was a wacky thing, on our third trip.
Based on what?
I told you, I had a piece of paper that I can't believe I didn't keep. That would have been such a... I had a piece of paper that said, enlisted, I can quote it, EM's conduct, enlisted man's conduct, is not suitable to continue duty in the Republic of Vietnam. And we used to think, oh my God, our conduct isn't suitable to continue duty in Vietnam. That's where they sent dudes for being bad boys. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was punishment to some people. And we were going, and I always thought that I was doing somebody a righteous by volunteering to go back, because I thought I would take one guy's place. And the fact that me and Andre knew how to play Vietnam, because we went so many, the fact that we knew how to play the joint, we thought we might be saving a guy. That might be saving a guy.
That is saving a guy.
Well, not necessarily.
Well,
it saves one guy from going, but he might have gone and had a good time.
Well, the fact that you even thought about that is an incredible
Thought
thing.
about it a lot.
Right.
But anyways, and then we got kicked out for doing things.
What things?
Going to town when it was off limits at night, sleeping with hoes and doing opium, which is because it was there, and they had opium dens, and all kind of wacky crap.
And now getting that paper, was that like the greatest day of your life when they gave you that paper? No?
No, the day that I'm talking about is the day a long time after that, when so they sent me and Andre to Fort Dix, New Jersey. This is we were bummed. We were doing stuff in Vietnam. We go to Fort Dix, we report in, and they make Andre. They send him to these officers. I forgot what they called it. They were just barracks, and it was sort of like a motel for officers coming to Fort Dix. They would stay there until they got their assignment. So Andre gets to be the guy behind the desk at this officers thing. I get drill sergeant. Now, a lot of people listening might think that's a cool gig. A lot of people, not me. I didn't want to train guys to go to Vietnam. Sorry. I know it's the honorable American patriotic thing, but...
And at that point, you'd already done how many tours?
3 trips.
3 trips.
3 trips. I was an infantryman, 11 Bravo. You heard the things. And didn't understand. And a lot of guys weren't understanding why guys were, for who we protected. Nobody here, I'll tell you that crap. Someone might ram that up, but I don't know, it's too much tough because people take it so many wrong ways. But let me fast forward to when I was a conscientious objector. So they make me a drill sergeant in Fort Dix. I do one cycle, 8 weeks. And I had a special 8 weeks. I was the second guy in charge of my platoon.
So this is basic training, and these are babies.
Well, I'm only 21. I'm 21, which to me now is a real baby. Jake is 29, and he's my baby. I was 21, and I was a drill sergeant. And the guy in charge of the top drill sergeant in my platoon, after like a week, got called to Washington for TDY, temporary duty, leaving me, the guy in charge of these dudes. And the pussy that I am, I can't be with a whole bunch of guys and not be friends. These are my boys. So I didn't treat them the way they wanted me to treat them. And I did a lot of stuff. I remember getting called in a few times going, you can't be friends with these people. This is not what this gig is. And I'd say, give me another job.
Because you're supposed to scream at them, harden them up, and get them ready to go, and that kind of thing.
I had to get up before them, wake them up, spend it, rifle range, marching in the sand, all that crap every day, put them to bed. And this is after, it's not a fun job for me. There's a lot of easy jobs in the service, sorry to say.
Because that one you know where they're going. You're training them, and then you know where they're going.
Yeah. I'm a hippie. I'm sorry. I didn't want. So every time they yelled at me, I'd say, give me another job. And there's a whole big army out here. Give me anything, truck driver, some crap. But they wouldn't. So the day they graduated, I've told this before, the day they graduate and they have a graduation, I had my car packed up. And I remember talking to parents of these kids, and they really dug introducing their parents to me because I was I remember helping fat kids. They used to get, I just tried to help them. And so I remember them saying, when do you leave? I was supposed to, that same day, a new group would come in. 8 new, brand new, start over.
New recruits.
I'm screwing. What happened was I met a band in Wrightstown, New Jersey, and people that have been to Fort Dix know that's a little town right next to Fort Dix. Wrightstown, spelled with a W. And I met this band called The Assorted Flavor, and we bonded with drugs, I can't deny. This is 1968 or 9. And they said that if I wanted to work with them, I could manage them if I came to Philadelphia. That's how I ended up in Philadelphia. So the day I went AWOL, I went to Philadelphia with that, met them, and ended up having something happen there for a long period of time.
How long were you before you turned yourself in, or?
I'm trying to I don't even know if I could. Rachel, the lady, Diane's mother, would know more. But I don't know if it was, that's how it's so many years ago. I don't know if it's 6 months, 10 months, a year, what happened. But, there's stories of why I had to turn myself in. What happened?
One of my favorite, you just mentioned the American Dream, the band that you worked with.
I mentioned the Assorted Flavor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The American Dream was post-service. They were a big band.
I remember talking to you one day about this, and it turns out, one of my favorite TV shows is 24, and it's coming back. Nick Jameson. One day I was talking to him, and it turns out that the guy that plays the Russian president at 24 used to be in the band Wease worked with.
Oh, that's funny.
He was a great guitar player, and good friends with Todd Rundgren, and Bears. There's too many stories here. There's a whole record label around those guys out of Woodstock.
Bearsville.
Anyways, so now after the AWOL and the little jail stuff and all that stuff, they put me in charge of, I love this, they put me in charge of sheets and pillowcases, I like to call it.
So you go to jail, then you have to go back, you're still in the military?
Well, that's the bad part of it. When you go to jail, they call it bad time. It doesn't count.
Oh, so you still have time to serve.
You don't even count. That ain't count. It's called bad time. So it doesn't count. So I get out, and I'm in charge of sheets and pillowcases. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And I'm commuting on a motorcycle from Philadelphia. I told this before. I used to go to Philly after work. It's a job then. And be with the band and with Rachel and in a drug culture. And I told this recently that I'd be 3 o'clock in the morning partying with that band after gigs with broads and stuff. And so what do you do? What do you do besides? I go, I'm in the Army. They go, get the F. You're not in the Army. This is during Vietnam and stuff. You're not in the Army. I'm in the Army. They couldn't even believe it. And I would get on my motorcycle like 4 o'clock from Philly. It's not far from Fort Dix, New Jersey. Go back to Fort Dix, and I was sheets and pillowcases distributor for basic training. So I had a little warehouse which was full of sheets and pillowcases, and guys that worked with me. I was in charge. I had like trainees, we call them, basic trainee guys would come, fold sheets and pillowcases. And all I would do was get in a pile of sheets, take a nap.
And now for most people, that would be the low job. No one wants that, right? The sheets and pillowcases.
Of course, they make fun.
Right.
Make fun. I was proud of this is stuff people get pissed off about. I am sorry.
Well, I mean, after 3 tours, though, I think it's hard for anyone. They don't have the right to really criticize.
They do.
3 tours. I don't think so, but
they do.
I know they think they do.
Well, they do. But I didn't get to the part which is time for a break. But the worst day. What happened was right where I was, there was a kid getting court-martialed. For being a conscientious objector, and I used to go watch the trial, the court-martial, because one of my captains was on the board thing there, and I watched it. And the kid had clergy from New York City. He was a New York kid, and I believed that he was what he said. And I realized when I watched this trial, because he lost and had to go to jail, and they were going to do that until he went to Vietnam. And they could put him in for every 6 months. You can only go court-martial 6 months, summary court-martial, and he would get out and they would have the trial again. And if he still didn't do it, they would give him 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So what I'm noticing when I watched that trial was the fact that he'd never been to war, or the fact that he was just a trainee, that they could do this to him. And I figured if that ever happened to me, they probably wouldn't say that because I already did it.
3 times.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So what happened was the fatal day when I think I'm ending my service career and I can live in Philly, I get orders to go to Fort Meade, Maryland, to be in armored cavalry. I go, get me and this black kid whose name I can't even remember. And we go, are you kidding me? And I took Rachel's Volkswagen and we drove to Maryland at night to report for them. We're going, you gotta be kidding me. I had it made. Sheets and pillowcases and commuting from Philly. Now I gotta go basically back in the real army, even though it is the army, and live in a barracks and be in the armored cavalry. So we got to the place, we got there like 10, 11 at night in these barracks. And me and the dude walk in, we meet guys, and we go, what is this joint? What do you do? And they say, we're here to protect Washington from civil unrest, protests, all this stuff. We got to go with that's what it was, the unit. And they trained every day, to go to war. We go, we've been to war. We know it's crazy. Don't forget, I'm 21. So the next day, when we all get in line to go to personnel to get assigned to what troop you're, whatever it is, I'm thinking, I can't do this. I'm thinking. And when I get up there, I sit down, and the guy he goes, you're in C troop. I go, no, I'm not. He goes, what do you mean? I go, I'm a conscientious objector. I refuse to touch a weapon. Because I had watched that guy's trial. And the guy starts fighting with me, and I start talking profane like I do. And don't forget, I'm a little cocky because I've been to thing 3 times.
Yeah.
And he hasn't at all. So I feel a tad superior, and I'm 21. So he goes and gets his lieutenant. This guy was an enlisted man. And I told him, they have my D214, they had my records, obviously, right in front of them. So I go, I'm not going to touch a weapon. I have met Jesus. I'm a conscious of Jesus told me. I made all this up. And they put me in the dispensary. It was like my biggest victory ever. I've told this before. Because my whole gig was pulling records for sick call. I was there with a couple doctors. It's a little dispensary. And every day, dudes that I was in the war with, they got sent to this joint, would come on sick call and they go, how the F you get the guy to pull?
Right.
Because they couldn't figure that gig out. So they, sick call, 95% of the people that came weren't sick.
Oh, yeah.
But they were on sick call. So that's that. And